for Nigeria's fortunes, looted fortunes. It is now authoritative that the prosecution of persons who have stolen national resources will begin in matter of weeks. President Muhammadu Buhari, who announced this at a meeting with members of the National Peace Committee, said his administration is irrevocably committed to doing everything within its powers to break the vicious cycle of corruption, joblessness and insecurity. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The Buhari administration has been diligently getting facts and figures pertaining to the nation's stolen funds, and now that the president talks about prosecution, culprits must have been identified. President Buhari said Nigeria, under his leadership, will not only ask for the return of the stolen funds stashed in foreign accounts, but will also ensure that those who stole the funds are put on trial in Nigeria. This, he said, will be done in a matter of weeks, and Nigerians will know who have changed them. The president also explained that as part of the ongoing reorganization of Nigeria's revenue-generating institutions, a single treasury account had been established towards ensuring greater probity, transparency, and accountability in the collection, disbursement, and utilization of national funds. Members of the National Peace Committee, led by General Abdulsalami urged the president to be guided by the rule of law in the fight against corruption.
And I think that the good news is that Nigerians are committed to a new nation. They are committed to ensuring that the gains and the blessings God has given us come to fruition. People need to be encouraged. And we need to reaffirm, that this is our country. The only thing we can all collectively be opposed to is injustice, iniquity, corruption. And in that regard, we all have one single conversation.
The Peace Committee, which has among other members the Sultan of Sokoto, Muhammad Saad Abubakar III, and Kan President Ayo Oroshijapo, was formed before the last general elections. President Muhammadu Buhari has granted the committee the permission to transform into a National Peace Council. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
More on tackling corruption, experts have suggested full autonomy for anti-corruption agencies and the strengthening of Nigeria's justice system to build a more pragmatic approach to the fight against the menace. This is the position of speakers on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, where they deliberated on the impact of the new Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption set up by President Muhammadu Buhari. Joy Uzo reports.
Corruption is no doubt a major challenge in Nigeria, and it has done untold damage to the nation's resources, citizens' well-being, development efforts, and image. President Muhammadu Buhari has never hidden his disdain for corruption with determination to check it. To achieve this, the president recently announced a 7-man Presidential Advisory Committee Against Corruption. Guests on the program noted that too much rhetoric has done little to tackle the menace in the past.
What is going to come out from this committee will depend on so many factors. Whether they will be able to identify the root cause, because corruption actually is a byproduct of certain things. The system you operate and the leadership actually determine the product you are going to get. If the system, for instance, weakens the institutions which you set up, you will be in trouble.
Why I'm excited about what President Buhari is doing, for instance, is that my sense of it is that he's saying, when I'm done, you can also prove me. The folks who are working with me now are mindful of the fact that I've been probing the past people, so they should know that they will be proved when they are done. There is a lesson in all of that. If you say, let's just plug the holes and say goodbye to those who have, put their hand in the public place, that deterrence you talk about will not be there. Deterrence is very, very important.
Other ideas raised by discussants include a holistic overhaul of the nation's judicial system to make it effective, as well as strengthening the anti-corruption institutions by ensuring they have greater autonomy.
The reason why we are having trouble is that our systems are not working, and what perpetuates corruption is non-working of the system. For example, I retired 18 years ago. I'm still pursuing my pension. I'm still pursuing my gratuity. Now, if those who are sick know that this will happen to them, they start to build their nest before they leave. That's where the corruption comes. In the system we are working, when I was in service, the first point of payment are the pensioners before you pay the progressive level.
I think there should be more pragmatic efforts to clean the FCC, clean the anti-corruption, the ICPC, the anti-corruption agencies, position them to do their work properly without fear or favor. And I think one of the requirements to get that done will also, I understand, entail giving them some shade of autonomy and independence.
They called on Nigerians to make conscious efforts to do the right thing always, while leaders should also lead by example. In Abuja, Joy using NTA News.
Former Nigeria's permanent representative to the United Nations, Yusuf Metamasule, has appealed to Nigerians to give the present administration the needed support in the efforts to bring about peace, security, and a corrupt-free society. Speaking at State House correspondent after a short visit to the Vice President, Yemi Oshibajo, the elder statesman says the country has had to battle the twin problem of bad image abroad and insecurity over time. Nigeria, he says, needs good leadership as being displayed presently by President Muhammadu Buhari and Vice President Yemi Oshibajo to address these challenges. He described the administration as a new era which will produce positive change. The international community, he stresses, is already giving support and showing great understanding.
Help them if they do wrong or if they go wrong. Support them if they do the right thing, but do it in a responsible, constructive manner. That we shall do. So we have confidence in them. We don't want them to fail, and by the grace of God, they will not fail.
He maintains that for the government to succeed in its programs of transforming the country, the cooperation of the entire people is germane. The Chinese government says it is committed to the sustenance of its strategic partnership with Nigeria for the mutual benefit of the two countries. The Chinese ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Gu Jiojie, stated this at a press briefing preparatory to the 10th anniversary of the establishment of China-Nigeria Strategic Partnership. Correspondent Joseph Orof reports.
Nigeria and China bilateral relationship started about 40 years ago, but it became more visible 10 years ago with strategic partnership in the infrastructural area and other sectors of the economy. China's trade relations with Nigeria as of 2014 hit $18 billion, with Nigeria being the only African country having a strong trade posture in China. As a leading manufacturing country in the world, the Chinese ambassador says the strategic partnership with Nigeria, which will be celebrated later this month, will further enhance the capacity of Nigerians in the manufacturing sector.
My government, and according to the laws of Nigeria, the federal government in Nigeria, and also we educate our companies to respect customs, traditions, and the best. They have to follow the best practices in their business doing.
He also reaffirms the resolve of the People's Republic of China to support Nigeria in the fight against insurgency and corruption, as well as collaborate with the Nigerian government in its efforts to develop the agricultural sector. In Abuja, Joseph Orof, NTA News.
And Nigerians continue to make giant strides. The first World Congress of Optometry is set to hold in Colombia, South America, with a Nigerian, Dr. Udraf Udon, expected to be inaugurated as President of its World Council at the event. Taiwo Odubesa covered the pre-event media briefing in Abuja and now reports.
The first World Congress of Optometrists is a platform for harnessing ideas and resources to further develop the profession globally, as well as sustain support for its continuing development. The event is expected to feature the inauguration of the Executive Committee to be headed by the President, a Nigerian, Dr. Udraf Udon. Before her appointment as President of the World Council, she was the first female President of the African Council of Optometry, as well as the first female President of the Nigerian Association of Optometrists.
With our help there, our training institutions will improve, because their training standard will improve, because she is going to help us ensure that some of the equipment we need, with the support of non-governmental organizations and funding bodies, they should be able to come on board to assist our training institutions they should be able to assist us in our regulation, bringing that better regulation that will help to provide better services in Nigeria.
With the resource pool available globally, the association believes that Nigeria, Africa, and indeed the world will witness the tremendous value that Dr. Uduak Udom will add to humanity by advancing eye care and prevention of blindness. In Abuja, Taiwo Odugosan, NTA News.
Now, towards reducing the rampant cases of building collapse and industrial damages, the Council for the Registration of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, has solicited the intervention of President Muhammadu Buhari to make a proclamation that the acts of corruption in the engineering projects be punishable according to the law, irrespective of one's status in society. This was canvassed at the 24th COREN Assembly by the President, Mr. Kashim Ali. Correspondent Ilyasu Ali Yakubu completes the story.
Speakers at the COREN Assembly suggested for the immediate re-engineering of the Council to meet with the challenges confronting its productivity for optimal results. The 24th Assembly has a theme: overcoming the challenges of Nigerian monolithic economy, the role of engineering profession. Governor of Osun State, Rauf Aregbesola, who chaired the occasion, challenged the Council to be more productive in the area of fabrication that will in turn turn around the economic fortunes of the country.
The theme of this year's assembly, overcoming the challenge of engineering of Nigeria's monolithic economy. Those of engineering profession is not just up, it has become the national imperative. If we want to really grow as a nation, we want to assume our historical ability to the flag, not only Africa, to the flag of the world.
President of the Council, Mr. Kashim Ali, disclosed that the theme of the 24th Assembly is a deliberate way of confronting the challenges of the Union.
In fact, that over the years, a lot of corruption has been perpetrated in Nigerian projects, starting from projects of installation to procurement and implementation.
Some of the participants say they are bracing up to the challenges in line with the interest shown by the new administration of President Muhammadu Buhari, especially in the area of fabrication and production of other engineering inputs.
The issue well articulated, and this assembly couldn't have come at a later time. The message, as you can see, is for how to use engineering, science and technology for infrastructural development,
engineering or technology for whatever projects that Nigeria is coming up with.
The theme of the conference is not only apt, but in fact very timely.
In Abuja, I am Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
The Inspector General of Police, Solomon Arase, has appealed to Nigerians to support the police in maintaining security in their communities. The IGP made the appeal when he met with NTA management at the NTA headquarters, Abuja. The Dino Justice tells us more.
The largest part of Nigeria, with its population with over 170 million, compared to the police size of not more than 400,000, the IGP says calls for community participation in their own security.
This group is something, the masquerades, the traditional rulers, the emirs, all these are people who always, fill in the gap. You have communal disputes over land. Why do you have to bug the police with that? It's not strictly a criminal thing.
The IGP also wants NTA with its large network to assist the police in creating awareness of their new image. The NTA Director General, Shola Omole, while acknowledging the various collaborations with the police, assures the IGP that one of the mandates of the NTA is to mobilize Nigerians in the area of national security and unity.
Diverse issues, we've got to bring them to the doorstep of everybody. Let Nigerians participate in all of this conversation so that the totality of our views shape policy formulation and implementation at the end of the day.
The NTA Director General also urged the police to understand the changing role of governance and security management to be more civil in their dealings with the public. From the NTA headquarters Abuja, Edina Justice, NTA News.
You're watching news on NTA International from Abuja, Nigeria. You heard that President Muhammadu Buhari has said that the prosecution of persons who have stolen national resources will begin in a matter of weeks. This was when he met with members of the National Peace Committee led by General Abubakar at the presidential villa, Abuja. More news after the break. Don't go away.
Of the African continent.
Welcome to NTA International News. State House correspondent Hamza.
In-depth news analysis and professional perspectives on all sides of the story.
Experts say the issue of
National
security
energies and resources must be mobilized for modern times.
Every day on NTA International, we take you inside Africa and the world.
NTA International News. Africa as it is.
In a bid to catch up with growing trends in broadcasting, experts in Nigeria's broadcast industry have been meeting with other key players in the sector to evolve ideas for content development as the nation prepares for a national switch to digital broadcasting. The BBC has been active in the last few days, having constituted a media action interactive forum which centered on content development and revenue generation in a digitized Nigeria. Gufan Shaji tells us more.
This meeting is the gathering of media professionals across Nigeria. The focus is basically to interact and build a synergy across board to enable a rich delivery of program content, particularly as Nigeria edges closer to achieving a digital switchover of all broadcast programming. Participants are optimistic that this workshop will further enhance their experiences in broadcasting and help them build capacity and techniques that will captivate viewership. The Director General of the NTA, who was represented by the Executive Director of Special Duties, Joseph Atik, was quite excited about the prospects of the new age of broadcasting in Nigeria. Their content are designed to challenge and inspire societal growth and national development.
Basically, to dissect the problems, the challenges of content development. You can see there are quite a number of NTA people that are here, very experienced people. The idea is to share experiences, see how we can improve on the content that we have today. It's expected that we will talk from each other. So at the end, I hope to gain more exposure of content building, which is the aim now.
We want to know how other stations are doing it so we can come together and speak with one voice, especially as digitization is being expected. We need to know what to do, how to fashion out our content so we can make money.
The BBC Media Action said it will continue to create such platforms to improve service delivery in the industry. In Abuja, we find out NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Finance Directorate of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, has been challenged on due process in line with global best practices on fiscal matters. Director General Shola Omole said this at the 2015 Head of Finance and Chief Accountants Conference in Ibadan, Southwest Nigeria. Kenyoshi reports.
The three-day conference brought together participants from the finance departments of NTA stations across the country. In a message to the opening ceremony, Director General NTA, Mr. Shola Omole, who was represented by the Executive Director of Finance and Administration, Mr. Philip Osegbu, commended the Directorate of Finance for their prompt submission of the 2014 audited financial statement to the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. He emphasized the need to uphold the ethics of their profession to ensure better management of the organization's finances in compliance with the federal government's zero tolerance for corruption.
And then we understand that if mistakes are made, sanctions might be hit. So let them be more cautious now, let them keep the records properly, and then follow due process.
Welcoming participants, the Zonal Director, NTA Ibadan Network Center, Pauline Igbano, urged them to look into various finance policies of the federal government and other international policies that will promote accountability, transparency, and professionalism. coming here shows that NTA respects due process, the rule of law. I think they are going to work on these new policies that come up with measures and how NTA can comply with these policies. Some participants commented on the focus of the conference.
We are going to touch especially the government policy on e-payments and e-collection
to see how far we have gone and what we have done right.
We are here to ensure that the financial management is being improved and that the accounting system of NTA is being improved upon, to guide them along the line so that most of the time our consolidated position is very, very correct and right.
An interactive session afforded participants opportunity to clarify issues bordering on finance. Participants are expected to come up with a communique that will enhance the functions of the Finance Directorate of the Nigerian Television Authority and promote the services of the NTA. In Ibadan, Kemioshi, NTA News.
And the last has not been heard of some of the internally displaced persons who are temporarily taking refuge at the Sunshine Estate in Abuja district of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Abuja, following their cry to the Human Rights Commission for intervention after they were told to vacate the site. 4 days into the 1-week grace period given to them by the property manager, Justin Uni reports on the options left for the relevant agencies and the IDPs with regard to the development.
It will be recalled that over 500 internally displaced persons said to be from Goza community in Borno State, northeast Nigeria, that have been taking shelter for over 1 year in a private estate in Abuja were given a 1-day eviction notice last Friday. This notice was however extended to 1 week following the intervention of the National Human Rights Commission by the property manager, during which adequate alternative arrangements by relevant authorities were expected to be made. A visit to the IDP camp indicates that the occupants are living normally.
So we never make any arrangement whether they are going to change the place where we're going to live or we are going to still living here. We don't know.
The National Human Rights Commission has drawn the attention of NEMA for possible arrangements to address the challenge of the IDPs.
They are Nigerians and we cannot abandon them at this point. What becomes very, very important today is to balance security with human rights protection.
The National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, says discussions with relevant stakeholders on the issue is on course.
You cannot, as an agency, we cannot just go ahead and establish a camp. There are other issues. We have to look at the security issue. Therefore, the meeting that will take place here will look at holistically the issues that confront us.
The agency maintains that there is no official camp for IDPs in the FCT, but merely settlements. In Abuja, Justin Ben-Unu, NTA News.
Moving on to business news, banks reduced withdrawal limits on automated teller machines ATMs as PenCam recovers 6.7 billion naira from defaulting employers, plus reports on economies of some countries across the globe by Newsland.com.
For the value of the naira continues, banks have reduced the withdrawal limits on ATMs and foreign transactions on all existing naira debit cards. ATMs are now enabled for domestic and foreign transaction limits of 60,000 naira daily withdrawal from the initial 150,000 naira, while spending limits on points of sale POS is pegged at $300 per day instead of the initial 2 million naira per day. The National Pension Commission has recovered 6.7 billion naira from employers in the country who have been deducting pension contributions from their workers' monthly salary but not remitting it to the retirement savings account of the employees. The Director General of PENCOM, Mrs. Chinelu Amozu, said guidelines are being developed for the informal sector's participation in the contributory pension scheme. On the global market, European shares climbed higher as supported by some major financial shares on that continent. China devalued its currency as the China Central Bank has announced that the China auto sales fell to 17-month low despite price cuts of automobile in that country. And Egypt's core annual inflation rate dropped to 6.49% at the end of July from 8.07% in June. Muplang Dakok, NTA News.
And now sports. Nigeria's Super Eagles to play MENA of Niger in an international friendly as IOC commenced 2018 Olympic Games organizers for a job well done. Sisayo Gufui has details on our sports update.
The Nigerian Football Federation says the Super Eagles of Nigeria will take on the MENA of Niger in an international friendly match in Port Harcourt next month. This is part of the programs lined up for the Sunday Elite-led team as they prepare for the 2017 AFCON qualifier against Tanzania. The NFF says discussions are in top gear with the Rivers State government to have the match played at the Adokia Mezumaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. As the selected sporting federations continue to organize trials to pick those that will represent Nigeria at next month's All-Africa Games in Congo, Brazzaville, the president of the Nigerian Olympic Committee, NOC Abuja, says with the recent early release of the budget for the Games, Nigerian athletes have no excuse not to excel in Brazzaville.
2003 we are number 1. 2007 we dropped to number 2. 2011 in Mozambique we dropped to number 3. This time around we are not just going to be on that number 3. We have to move higher, either to number 2 or to number 1. We must make this country proud.
There is a renaissance of the game of darts in Makurdi, the Benue State capital. Tournaments and rudimentary sessions have been organized to promote the game, which the players described as mentally challenging as it helps in terms of body coordination, accuracy and concentration. Correspondent Uche Mbede reports that participants at an event to engender interest in the game advocated for the inclusion of darts as a game of choice at the junior school level. A report released by the Brazilian Foreign Ministry says the construction of the Olympic Village, swimming pool, venue and media center for the Rio 2016 Olympics have reached an advanced stage. But this cannot be said of the velodrome, hockey pitches, rugby venue and track and field venues, which are still far behind schedule. However, the International Olympic Committee still believes that Rio will showcase the best games ever. With sports news update, Sisayo Gufui, NTA News.
Before we go, a look at Wednesday's weather. And that's it on News on NTA International. Thank you for watching.